Welcome to our fashion show. I'm so glad to see you all here. I'm just going to make this short and sweet. We have a really exciting show. There's a lot of moving parts. That's a little hint. A lot of really interesting garments. I just want to say thank you to all the supporters of our designers and of our department. They can't come out here and do the things they do without being able to be supported in their lives outside of school. So when they are stressed and working really hard and staying out at school for all hours, trying to get their garments done or trying to produce a fashion show, they can go home or to friends and find that support. They need it, and I thank you for that, because sometimes you don't realize what a role you guys play. You should find almost 100 garments today. And so some of the garments are Clothing Construction 1. There's a lot of them. That is our very beginning sewing class. These are students who may have never touched a sewing machine. And then the designers segments that you'll see are students who have been here for 2 years. And you'll see a vast difference in it, but you'll also see some pretty talented first years who have great Clothing Construction 1 garments. So look for them next year as they walk the runway. But enjoy the show. I'm so glad you're here. That's it.
I would say my first memory would be when I was in sixth grade, sixth or seventh grade, and I made like a little denim purse. My grandpa bought me this mini sewing machine, and I just wanted to make something, and I made a denim purse. I literally just sewed two rectangles together. I guess I would say I kind of inspired myself only because um, it's like really hard for me to find clothes that fit. I'm 4'9", I'm 86 pounds. So I have to like shop in the kids section a lot to find just like basic jeans that fit me. But I wanted to buy clothes that's for like women. Um, so that's why I want to make petite clothes for women. I like the creativity of it. You can just be free with it and basically create a collection out of anything. I started my creative process by mind mapping. It's like a technique where you come up with 3 basic words and then you just add on other words to those basic words. And that's how you like narrow things down to come up like with the actual collection. The process of turning the sketch into the actual garment because it never turns out exactly how you imagined it. I would say just be patient because when I first started, I was very discouraged because my sewing wasn't up to par like other students. But I realized it literally just takes time, like it's a process.
dancer. To the beat and repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, down low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat and repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, down low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat and repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, down low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat and repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, down low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight.
So my first fashion memory, it was when I was a kid. I used to see my grandma sewing dresses for little girls. What inspired me to choose fashion career was my grandma also, and also my mom, because I like the way she wore colors and prints, and that inspired me. When I came here to the US, I wasn't interested before. I worked like an environmental engineer for 10 years in Colombia. And when I came here, I had the opportunity to explore more about that. And I decided to take some classes and know more about this. And I was in love with fashion. The way I start the process for the creative process for this project, I just choose what I am interested and I match, or I take details from everything. My inspiration was Yves Saint Laurent, the designer, and nature was the inspiration for this collection. It's inspired by outfits from 66 and 69. I took from those designs little details like pockets, collars, and I just used them with shapes from images that I was interested. One of the images, it has texture. I love texture in my designs, so I combine all of those, also colors and prints. So I love all of those things together. My favorite piece is the outfit with the jacket and the trousers. The hardest part for this process, it was the creative part. So I have many ideas, but sometimes I don't know how to organize those ideas because I can't start sketching without mood boards or pictures. So this is the hardest part for me. In the future, I will remember this class like a fun class, interesting class, a learning process, because all of this is new for me.
sewing classes at Joann's. The first thing I made was a pillow, and I hand stitched that. And then after that, I continued to take classes. My family inspired me to continue pursuing fashion as a career. During quarantine, I picked up sewing again, and I was studying athletic training. So I stopped, and then I realized that I wanted to continue pursuing fashion, so I came to fashion school. I like studying fashion because it helps me take my ideas and put it on paper and also into fabric. So I started the process by looking up things that I wanted to pursue and research. So I started with the ocean, and then I went to sea animals, and I stuck with the jellyfish. My inspiration was jellyfish and their tentacles and their arms that they have. So it was a lot of elements I could take from there and put into my garments. I'm also excited to see my cage dress finished. My hardest part was deciding and being sure with the colors in every single garment because I had a lot of ideas and I had to dwindle it down to just a few. My biggest challenge so far is trying to find fabrics that match my color story. I think I'll remember this class in the future as my first collection, and I'll be able to see the growth that I had from my first piece to where I am at that point. I would tell incoming fashion students to ask questions, get involved, and to love what they do.
My first fashion memory, it really stems all the way back from my childhood. Growing up, my dad sewed together every single Halloween costume because we always wanted to be some sort of fantasy, movie inspired or video game inspired character, and they just didn't exist in the Walmart department section. So my dad put together all of our costumes, and that's kind of what really got me into costuming, and I guess what now leads me to being here and being in fashion. Was there an event that made me choose fashion school? Honestly, yes. It really was the pandemic. I was kind of having a crisis. I was 25, I hadn't finished school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I had no ambition, I had nothing going for me. And that's when I was able to start actually sewing a lot more for myself. And I realized I should go back to school and I should actually finish my degree. And so my husband helped me find schools, and I ended up finding College of DuPage. And with their online classes in the beginning, it really helped be able to kickstart finishing my school. And now I will officially finally be able to graduate this semester. What do I like about studying fashion? What is there not to like? I enjoy every single class. I enjoy every aspect of it. My absolute favorite is garment construction. I love sewing. I do it 8 to 10 hours a day, every single day of the week. So I can't get enough. My collection is inspired by historical fantasy. It's got a lot of historical elements, a lot of historical ways of sewing and constructing pieces, with corsetry and base garments and soutache braid, which is a Russian element that they would have used back in the early 1800s, along with smocking, which was very common in the 17th century because it helped with being able to make things multiple sizes. And the fantasy, I've always just been a huge nerd. I've always been drawn to the fantasy world. And so I wanted to create a collection for all of the badass women who want to be confident and comfortable in their own skin and show a little, but be just be very, very cool. My biggest inspiration to move towards fashion as a career would definitely be my husband. He brought me to my first Renaissance fair 10 years ago, and the second I walked through those gates, I knew I didn't know what I needed to do, but I needed to do this, all of this, for the rest of my life. And starting right then, I started making my own garments for the Renaissance Fair, and pieces for my husband and pieces for our friends. And then my husband was encouraging me, saying I should sell them and they're great and you should do it. And I wasn't very confident in my skills. I didn't think I could do that, but I am successfully, coming up on 2 years of successfully running a Renaissance Fair sewing clothing business. And I have partnerships across out in Pennsylvania. And last year I actually got to travel the entire US to Renaissance fairs all over. And it's very exciting, and that would not have happened without him.
The point of Spot is to be able to carry cameras and sensors and just as much as we can get into areas that we'd rather people not spend a lot of time. That can be areas that are radioactive, have contamination, dust. We don't want people going there. Send your robot. Well, we would like to protect our robot. So particularly with dust and radioactive contamination dust, we don't want that getting into sensitive parts of the robot where we can't clean it out and it just becomes a mess. We ended up reaching out to COD because our group leader, Mei Ling, already had a working relationship with COD, had worked with the students, and we figured if we want to protect our robot with personal protective equipment, we should talk to experts in the field that know how to do this properly. And it's a lot of fun working with students. They bring a creativity and just an energy to jobs that make it just a joy to work with them.
Our protective equipment, we had like prototypes, and we were working off of basically like a box. But now that we have the actual robot here, it's really great to be able to see how we can put it on and how we can fit it and see where everything lands.
I never thought we would ever work on a robot. It's not what you come to fashion school for typically, but it's been an amazing experience.
So we just fit the backside. We're going to flip him over and attach it, and then hopefully we can see if it stays on him as he moves.
No, never thought Fashion Studies and Fermilab would be partners. It was such a unique opportunity, so we jumped on it, and I was so thankful that they reached out to us. You know, fashion design students don't always end up designing fashion, they design other things. And so this is a window into that knowledge of how to design and problem solve can be applied really to anything. And so we really do teach design. We apply it to fashion, but it really can be applied to anything. And now they have more opportunities, other things that they can look at and possibly design for.
dancer. To the beat on repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, low, low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat on repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, low, low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat on repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, low, low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat on repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, low, low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. To the beat and repeat like a dancer. Slow mo, low, low, Black Panther. From the left to the right in the headlight. Just move your feet like a dancer. To the beat and repeat like a dancer.
My first fashion memory is getting my first leather jacket. The first garment I made was a pair of pajama pants in 8th grade. I've always liked fashion, just dressing up and buying clothes, but I discovered my first Rick Owens show in freshman year of high school, so I wanted to pursue fashion as a career. The event that made me choose fashion school is graduating high school and deciding what to do with my life. The thing I like about studying fashion is how hard it is. In the beginning, I thought it was going to be easy, but it just increasingly got even harder. My creative process and my inspiration was going through all the vinyl that I collect and just picking records and basing the collection off those records I chose. My collection is based on oversized garments and the color black, and my favorite piece in the collection is a oversized wool overcoat. The thing I'm most excited to see finished is the wool overcoat. The hardest part of developing the collection was actually sitting down and developing the patterns for it. The biggest challenge so far is finding the correct fabrics I wanted to use and the cost of those fabrics. I think I remember the class fondly. I would tell the incoming students to take your time and slow down and not to rush any projects, and don't compare yourselves to any of the other students.
My first memory of fashion would have to be my mom's closet. I remember that she used to have these knee-high snakeskin boots, and they were just so bold and sleek, and she would always ask my opinion on what she should wear on like her nights out, and I would always say snakeskin boots. I've always sort of been into fashion since I was younger. I was sort of always drawn to finding my own personal style. I remember when I was taking a tour of COD, I stumbled upon the fashion hallway, and I just remember like getting chills like up and down my body, because I was just like, this really, like, I didn't know that like I could possibly do fashion as a career. So I just knew that it felt right. What I like about studying fashion is that I am able to share my vision with the world, and it's really important to me, but it also can speak to so many different audiences and make them feel a certain way when they see the clothing that I'm producing. I started the creative process pretty early on. I found a bunch of fabrics that I really liked, that I knew that I wanted in my collection. I am most excited to see my whole collection finished. I feel like you really get a good sense of the story once you see them all lined up together. So I'm just excited to see all of my pieces go down the runway. I will always remember this class. It's hard not to. I feel like all of the skills that I've gathered from this class speak to all areas of my life, not just creatively. So I'll definitely take everything that I'm learning from this class with me into my everyday life in the future.
I was inspired to go into fashion because I used to do, from doing my costumes back years ago, I started to get into cosplay and making my own props and costumes and dressing up as characters. And it was really fun, and turns out I was really good at sewing. What I like about studying fashion is that I love to work with my hands and I love to make things, and that's what I really love to do. I just love seeing the process from start to finish, just everything about it. For my collection, my inspiration was I looked at a lot of protective suits and armor, and I also pulled references from post-apocalyptic type games and medias. I was looking at bomb suit, diving suits, and medieval armor too to pull into my collection. I wanted my collection to be very protective, and I wanted it to have these very big, oversized pieces that basically almost engulfed the wearer. My favorite piece of the collection would probably have to be the big coat that I'm working on. It goes all the way from up here and is almost down to the feet. And it just is a huge coat that almost engulfs the person that it's wearing. It's gonna be really cool. So the biggest challenge for this collection is probably to finish the whole thing, to get all of my little pieces sewn together and on the garment, because I have a lot of quilting. I have some details that I want to get in there, and I am hoping to be able to get as much as I can together. I will definitely remember this class. I think I will remember it fondly, because it's definitely a big challenge to do a whole collection. But I think it really is a learning process, because I think I'm going to be able to learn so much from this, and I'm going to be able to take so much away. I'm very excited. I would tell incoming students to start as early as you can. Start gathering your ideas and writing down your concept as soon as possible, because it takes such a long time to just narrow down and decide what you want to go with. And it's also good to know exactly what you want to do going into the class, so you can just get started and just get rolling right away.